This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. My wife has a childhood friend who is a man. Their relationship is so close that they eat and sleep together without caring about gender. I repeatedly asked them to mind their boundaries and keep their distance. She got angry instead. I have known Tony for over 20 years. If something were going to happen, it would have happened long ago. Why would it wait until now? Then she carried on as she pleased, spending nights out with Tony. Even my father-in-law and mother-in-law treated Tony like their own son and advised me to be more generous. Later, I found myself a little sister as well. My wife blocked my way and demanded, "What is going on between you and Serena? Can't you two mind your boundaries?" I threw her own words back at her. Serena and I have been colleagues for 3 years. If something were going to happen, it would have happened long ago. Why would it wait until now? At 4 in the morning, Haley still had not come home. I knew she would not be coming back that night. In the past, I would have been furious, already calling her over and over. But tonight, I was surprisingly calm. I did not feel even a trace of anger. In the morning, she came back carrying bread and milk. She smiled cheerfully at me. "I had a gathering with Tony yesterday. It got a bit too lively. I was afraid of waking you up if I came back late, so I stayed out." She blinked playfully. It wasn't the same bed, okay? It was a twin room. Tony had been her neighbor since childhood, what people used to call childhood sweethearts. But she always said she and Tony were just best buddies. Even if she stood naked in front of Tony, he would not get aroused. I had seen them many times laughing and fooling around. She would hook her arm around his neck or jump onto his back. Tony never refused her. He often pinched her cheek. Every time I saw it, I felt uncomfortable. I would pull Haley aside and remind her to keep some distance. At first, she explained patiently, telling me not to worry. Later, she grew impatient. She would counter, "We have known each other since we were kids. If we wanted to be together, what business would it be of yours?" And every time Tony would stand there, hands in his pockets, and say casually, "Man, you are too tense." To me, Haley isn't even a woman. At most, she's like my little sister. Could I ever have thoughts about my own sister? That would be disgusting. I looked at him pretending to be righteous and thought, "You are exactly that disgusting." For a while, Haley and Tony really did keep some distance. She stopped going out so often. She stayed home clinging to me, asking me to massage her waist and legs, cook meals for her. Every meal had to be 5 dishes, meat, vegetables, and soup. If I complained about the trouble, she would say, "You won't let me go out. If I can't even have a decent meal at home, what is the point?" I had no choice but to swallow my frustration and work in the kitchen until the spatula smoked. She posted photos of my cooking on Instagram, praise for my family chef. Tony commented below, "Your Rocky is really such a good husband." Other mutual friends joined in. "No wonder you haven't been going out lately. Someone's been feeding you well." The tone was hard to ignore. I frowned involuntarily. Haley became upset again. "You're a grown man. Why are you so sensitive? I was just showing off our happiness. If it bothers you so much, fine. I won't post you on Instagram anymore." Time after time, it always seemed like I was being unreasonable. Little by little, Haley lost patience with me. The distance between us kept growing. No matter how hard I tried, I could not step into her heart. "What are you thinking?" Haley waved her hand in front of my eyes. I snapped out of my thoughts and looked at her smudged makeup and wrinkled clothes. Suddenly, I felt so tired. She noticed my mood and softened her voice, trying to act cute. "Honey, are you mad?" I said nothing. She took my hand. "Don't be upset, okay? How about I spend the afternoon with you? You wanted to buy a suit lately, right? Let's go shopping today. I'll buy it for you." She was always like this. A slap followed by a candy. Relying on my love for her, she manipulated me without restraint. She knew I would never get angry, never leave. That afternoon, she took me to the mall. She picked the brands I liked. "This one looks great. Try it on." She chose a dark gray plaid set, exactly my usual style. When I came out of the fitting room, I saw her holding her phone up, video calling someone. I walked to her side. On the screen was Tony. She was still smiling. "This one suits you so well." I knew at the moment I saw it. When she noticed me, she asked for my opinion. "Honey, don't you think this fits his reserved style?" Tony laughed on the other end. "So what are you going to buy it and bring it over for me? Isn't that just a matter of one word?" They kept chatting and laughing. I turned away calmly, picked another suit, and went back to the fitting room. I paid for everything without emotion. She was still video calling Tony when I left the store by myself. Haley chased after me, complaining, "Why didn't you wait for me? Are you mad again? Is that necessary?" I smiled faintly. "No, I'm not mad. This time it was the truth. I really was not mad. After all, I had already gotten used to it." That night, I met some friends for drinks. I came home very late. Haley called me countless times. I did not answer any of them. Eventually, I just turned my phone off. For once, it was her turn to wait up for me deep into the night. I was quite drunk, but still tried to keep her from helping me. I pushed her hand away, feeling along the wall back to the bedroom. I threw myself onto the bed. Haley never allowed me to go to bed without showering. She always thought the clothes from outside were dirty, and I always respected her wishes. But when had she ever respected mine? I fell into a heavy sleep. After that day, Haley started caring for me diligently. She prepared lovely breakfasts every morning. During work, she sent me many messages. Sometimes when I worked overtime, she would come and have dinner with me, as if she was trying to prove through her actions that she was changing. Until today, I finished work early for once. She said it had been a long time since she had good Western food, and there was a new restaurant nearby she wanted to try. I agreed and went straight from the office. I arrived a bit early and was reading the menu. When I looked up, I saw Tony walking in with her. I took out my phone and sent a message. Tony sat down and said with an apologetic smile, "Sorry to interrupt your date. I just happened to be nearby for something. I've been wanting to try this place, so I came with Haley. Hope you don't mind." "I don't mind." My voice was flat. "How about this? I'll treat you tonight as an apology." He smiled calmly. "By the way, about that suit Haley gave me last time. I haven't thanked you properly yet." I glanced at Haley. So she really had bought the suit for him. Haley looked a bit tense. Today was really a coincidence. Tony isn't an outsider. It's more fun eating with more people anyway. Tony patted her shoulder with a laugh. "Look how nervous you are. I've known Rocky for years. What's wrong with having a meal together?" Haley glanced at me and quickly dodged his hand. "Just talk, don't touch." He looked a bit surprised, raised his eyebrows, and gave me a long, meaningful look. All right, let's order. My treat, so pick whatever you like." Haley opened her phone to scan the menu. "I won't hold back then." Tony leaned in to look with her, their heads almost touching. They looked like a couple, and I was just a third wheel. They finished ordering with laughter. Tony looked up, speaking like the host. "Rocky, is there anything else you want to eat?" If Haley added. "Wait a moment." I stood up and waved to a young woman in a tight dress standing near the entrance. She walked over quickly, smiling as she greeted us. "Sorry I'm late." I pulled out a chair for her. "It's fine. We just finished ordering. Take a look and see if you'd like to add something." Haley stared at her, her face growing darker. "Honey, who is this?" "She is my colleague, Serena." Serena smiled softly, tucking her hair behind her ear to reveal her delicate face. "Hello everyone, I am Rocky's colleague. Rocky is very kind and always takes care of me. I've always seen him as an older brother." After hearing this, Haley's expression grew even uglier. She shifted closer to me. The dishes came quickly. Tony clearly knew Haley's taste well. He moved her favorite dishes in front of her and thoughtfully cut her steak. Serena struggled a bit, cutting her own. I took my plate and exchanged it for hers. She gave me a grateful smile. Haley tugged my hand. "Honey, could you pour me some water?" I picked up the pitcher and filled her glass, then also topped off Serena's cup. Tony lifted his glass. "I'm fine, no need to add more." Haley's hostility towards Serena was obvious. Miss Serena, Rocky is just that kind of person. He's always considerate to everyone. She shot me a reproachful look. "People always misunderstand him." Serena remained composed. "That only shows how charming Rocky's personality is." She lowered her voice. "Sister-in-law, let me tell you a secret. Rocky is really popular at the office. All the young ladies privately say he's handsome, capable, and a good husband who loves his family." Hearing this made my own face flush. Haley forced a smile. "Is that so?" Serena lifted her finger and pointed at Tony. "Of course, but compared to this gentleman by your side, Rocky is still lacking. Look at him. He hasn't taken his eyes off you this whole meal." Her words were too blunt. Tony looked awkward and cleared his throat. "That's an exaggeration." The entire meal was filled with unspoken tension. After dinner, Serena left first. Tony offered to drive us home. I jingled my car keys, indicating I had driven myself. He then turned to Haley. "It's still early. How about we go for another round somewhere?" Haley refused firmly. "No, we have things to do. We'll head home." She took my hand and hurried away. Before we even reached the car, she started questioning me. "Who exactly is that, Serena?" "A colleague." "A colleague, and you're that considerate, serving her food, pouring her water. Just being polite. Besides, isn't Tony even more attentive to you?" She was momentarily speechless. When we got home, she still hadn't let it go. She threw her handbag onto the sofa. Usually, I would have picked it up and hung it properly. Today, I just glanced at it indifferently and picked up my clothes to wash up. She blocked my way. "Explain clearly. What's your relationship with Serena? Why did you invite her to dinner? And what did she mean with all those insinuations?" I lowered my head and looked at her. "Just colleagues, if you must label it. Then she's like a younger sister I look after a bit more. As for the dinner, didn't you say meals are more lively with more people?" My tone was calm and unhurried. "What sister? The way she looked at you was all wrong. She kept smiling at you." "Smiling about what? We're all women here who can't tell what that means." She grew angrier, snatching the towel from my hand and throwing it hard onto the floor. I lost my temper too. I kicked the towel aside and shot back. "What does it mean, like you and Tony?" "There you go again with Tony. Do you know how many years we've known each other? And how long have you known that, Serena? So what, you can have a brother and I can't have a sister?" Haley's face turned red, then pale. In her eyes, anger, grievance, and frustration flickered. At last, her eyes reddened and her voice softened. "I've told you so many times. If Tony and I were going to be something, it would have happened long ago. I'll give your words right back to you. If Serena and I were going to be something, it would have happened already." I sneered. "You're guilty inside. That's why you see everyone else is suspicious." I didn't want to hear the same old arguments anymore and cut her off. Haley began her silent treatment. It was her most practiced tactic. Every time we quarreled, she used it to force me to yield. 2 years ago on her birthday, I ordered a limited edition handbag through a personal shopper and gave it to her. But when she received it, instead of being happy, her face fell immediately. She pouted without saying a word. I was at a loss, begging her for a long time before she finally spoke. She didn't like the color. I offered to exchange it for another, but she accused me of not caring enough about her. If I truly listened, how could I have gotten even the color wrong? Then she slammed the door and left. She didn't answer calls or reply to messages. I was so anxious I drove all over the city to look for her. That night I saw her Instagram feed. She was celebrating her birthday with Tony and the others, blowing out candles and eating cake. Her face and Tony's were pressed together, both smeared with cream, smiling brightly. At the center of the photo was the very handbag she wanted. The caption read, "The most thoughtful man is always the most charming." That time she ignored me for days. She acted as though I didn't even exist. I kept apologizing, buying her other gifts until she finally forgave me. But this time I wouldn't give in. A few days later, her parents invited us over for dinner. All the way there she kept a cold face. Her mother knew her too well. The moment we stepped in, she could tell something was wrong. She pretended to scold her gently. "Haley, are you being willful again? Rocky stayed here to work and bought a home all because of you. Stop losing your temper at him." I wasn't from this city. After graduation, I had planned to return to Chicago and had even received a good offer. But for Haley, I chose to stay. Hearing her mother's words, Haley's expression finally softened. Just then the doorbell rang. Her mother went to open it. "It's Tony. Have you eaten yet?" "I already ate. I heard Haley was back today, so I came to invite her out." He spoke casually as he walked in and sat by the table. Haley looked at me, then shook her head. "No, we have things to do after dinner." Tony paused, then tried to persuade her. "It's been ages since we all got together. My neighbors are coming too. They were all saying they miss you." Hearing that, Haley looked visibly tempted. She glanced at me hesitantly. I turned away, unwilling to give an opinion. Tony understood immediately and put on a generous smile. "Rocky, why don't you come too? We've all been friends since childhood. They're all Haley's friends." He didn't want me there, but he had to pretend to be polite. Her parents didn't notice the undercurrent. They chuckled. "You young people should get together more often." Tony put his arm around them warmly and teased, "Uncle Annie, you're still young yourselves. Why don't you come along too?" His words made them laugh. I watched this scene, all of them close and joyful like a family, and I felt like the unwelcome outsider. I stood up. "You all go ahead. I'm tired. I'll head home first." "Honey," Haley called after me. I turned. She bit her lip and finally spoke. "Drive carefully. I'll come home early tonight." So this was how it was. I smiled, turned around, and left. That night, I didn't wait for Haley. She could come home whenever she wanted, or not come home at all. A wife like this, a home like this. I had long since grown tired of it. My marriage with Haley had reached a stalemate, trapped in a place where we could neither advance nor retreat. So we just went on like this, awkward and stagnant. On Saturday, Haley spent the entire morning dressing up carefully, saying she was meeting her girlfriends for lunch and shopping afterward. I didn't question her. I checked the time and changed clothes to go out as well. "You're going out too?" "I'm having lunch with a friend." "Which friend? Do I know them?" she asked absent-mindedly while applying her lipstick. "Serena, you've met her." "What?" She was so agitated her lipstick smeared past her lips. "You're not allowed to go. Having lunch alone with a woman. What is that supposed to be?" I calmly adjusted my cuffs and didn't answer. She came over to block me. Only then did I lift my eyes to look at her, and I said each word clearly. "How many times have you had lunch alone with Tony? Do you need me to remind you? If you think this is inappropriate, why do you keep doing it? Or is it that by your standards you can but I can't?" The chill in my gaze stunned her. She froze in place. At that moment her phone rang. I glanced at the caller ID and let out a mocking laugh. "Your dear friend is calling to hurry you up." After saying that, I stopped caring about her reaction and walked out on my own. Last time, I had asked Serena to help me out at the last minute and owed her a favor. Today was the perfect time to treat her to a meal. Serena had changed her look today. Her hair was tied up high in a bun, wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. She looked fresh and vibrant like a college student who had just graduated. But the world is so small. When I saw Tony and Haley walking into the same restaurant, my appetite disappeared completely. Serena noticed the change in my expression. She turned her head and saw them too. "Should we go say hello?" I shook my head. Their table was crowded, with 5 or 6 men and women sitting together. Tony and Haley were side by side, looking very close. It was obvious how familiar they were. They laughed and chatted with everyone, drawing many glances from other tables. I tried not to look, but the noise from their table grew louder and louder. Annoyed, I couldn't help glancing over. Just then I saw Tony leaning down to kiss Haley's cheek. People around them started shouting that it didn't count. Tony gave a helpless smile, then lowered his head again and kissed her lips. "Perfect." Serena raised her phone and winked at me. I stood up and strode over to their table. Without a word, I grabbed Tony and punched him hard. Haley looked at me, her face full of fear. "Honey." Everyone realized who I was. They stared, no one daring to speak. Tony rubbed his jaw and slowly stood up. "Sorry, we were just joking around. It got a little out of hand." I hated his pretentious face. Before he could finish, I punched him again. This time he finally dropped the act, scowling and about to fight back. Haley blocked him and pulled me away. "Honey, let's go home and talk. I can explain." Our commotion had drawn everyone's attention. The scene was a complete mess. I didn't want to keep arguing. I shook off Haley's hand. There's nothing to explain. After the divorce, you can do whatever you want. Again and again, she trampled my bottom line and dignity. I was completely exhausted, but Haley didn't want a divorce. She kept explaining, I didn't mean to lie to you. I was afraid you'd be angry if you knew I was meeting him. We were just joking around. I didn't expect he would really kiss me. He said there was a girl always bothering him, so he asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend to keep her away. Honey, I swear this is the last time. And aren't you having lunch alone with Serena? Seeing I remained unmoved, she started to twist things around. I simply packed a few clothes ready to leave. She held my hand tightly, refusing to let go. My face turned cold. Let go. She was startled by my tone, her body trembling, but she still relied on the love I used to have for her, unwilling to release me. She thought this time would be no different, that if she acted cute, cried a little, I would soften and forgive her again. But a person's patience has limits. All my love had already been exhausted by her. Now every time I looked at her, I felt sick. She had no boundaries, no sense of propriety. She wanted me to be the husband who spoiled and tolerated her. But she also couldn't give up Tony's flattery and attention. Did she really not know what Tony as a man was thinking? No, she knew perfectly well. She even enjoyed it. Perhaps in her eyes, two men scheming and fighting over her was proof of her charm. If today I kissed Serena, then told you it was just a joke, could you accept that? Of course not. In that case, why do you expect me to forgive you? But Tony and I really haven't done anything. I admit it went too far today, but apart from that, I've never betrayed you in any way. She sounded so certain, as if she were truly innocent. Haley, cheating isn't only about sleeping together. You're married. You have to handle your relationship with other men properly. When I have lunch alone with another woman, you're upset. But you think it's fine to hang out with a man late into the night, even stay over together. Don't tell me he's just a good friend. Be honest with yourself. Don't you know what Tony wants from you? You hide behind the label of friendship, doing things you can't justify, and expect me to be a fool. Haley's face turned crimson, but she couldn't say a single word to refute me. I pushed her hand away. I've had enough. Let's get a divorce. Haley refused to get divorced. She cried and made a scene for days, even calling my parents. Clearly this was her fault, but in her telling, it became my scandal with another woman that I wanted a divorce because of someone else. In my parents' eyes, Haley was beautiful and came from a good family. She was just a bit spoiled, not a serious flaw, and marrying her had been my good fortune. Now hearing I was making trouble, they called again and again to scold me. As a man, I really couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth. I only said I would handle it myself, but Haley went too far. On Instagram feed, she posted all kinds of vague, sorrowful captions implying I was a scumbag. Overnight, everyone turned against me. I had wanted us to part peacefully. That day, Serena had taken the photo of them kissing. I sent that picture to Haley and her parents. After all, we were husband and wife. She would understand my meaning. Soon she wiped all those posts clean. Her parents called me over and over to apologize, saying their daughter was immature, begging me to give her one more chance. Not long after they came to see me in person, they said Haley was refusing to eat, had collapsed at home, and was now hospitalized. Whatever the case, please just go see her. They spoke softly. I know it's Haley's fault, but she's our only daughter. What can we do? I went to the hospital. Haley lay on the bed, her face deathly pale. When she saw me, she looked delighted. Honey, she reached out to me as if she thought I would embrace her like always. I sat down by the bed and spoke calmly. Why do this to yourself? Disappointment filled her expression as she lay back down in silence. After a long while, I heard her sobbing quietly. She curled up under the blanket, only her tear-filled eyes showing, looking pitiful. I was wrong. I really was wrong. I promise I'll never meet Tony in private again. Please forgive me this time, all right? Feigning misery, playing the victim. Her specialty. I shook my head. Haley, I'm serious. When you're discharged, we'll go file for divorce. Even if I'm pregnant. Even if you're preg. I stopped mid-sentence, suddenly realizing what she meant, and looked at her suspiciously. She took out a medical report showing she was 2 months pregnant. If I searched my conscience, my first reaction on seeing that paper was wondering whose child it was. Maybe my suspicion was too obvious because her face twisted in anger. What do you mean by that? I said nothing. Her anger grew. I told you aside from that one kiss, I never did anything to betray you. Seeing I still didn't believe her, she raised her right hand. If I'm lying, may I get hit by a car the moment I step outside? There's no need to say such things. I decided to believe her. When did you find out you were pregnant? About half a month ago. My period didn't come, so I guessed. Then why didn't you tell me then? Didn't we agree not to have kids yet? Her voice trailed off. When we first married, we had agreed to spend a few years together, not rushing to have children unless she felt ready to be a mother. So you didn't plan to keep this baby, did you? This was just an accident. I closed my eyes. This child came at the worst possible moment. Everything had become more complicated. When my parents heard Haley was in the hospital, they came all the way from my hometown. When the two families met, the atmosphere was awkward. Soon they shifted focus to the baby. Haley's parents said, "In-laws, this time it really was Haley's fault. Young people joke around too much. We've scolded her harshly already. Now that she's pregnant, please, for the child's sake, give her another chance." My parents looked at Haley, then at me. Deep down, they just wanted a grandchild. Haley saw that my attitude had softened a little, so she seized the chance to coax me. "Honey, let's stop fighting, all right? When the baby is born, can we just live happily together again?" Under everyone's expectant gaze, I finally nodded, even though I didn't know myself whether she was really capable of living peacefully. Haley truly changed a lot. She quit her job and stayed home to rest during pregnancy. She bought many parenting books and pregnancy cookbooks, learning how to be a good mother. Every day when I came home from work, she had dinner ready, chattering to me about everything she'd done that day. It felt like we were back to the days right after we married. A little restrained, a little polite, but already a much more harmonious state. She also reduced contact with Tony. If Tony sent her a message, she would take a screenshot and show it to me. As time went on, I gradually forgot all the old things. I thought life could continue peacefully like this, but clearly, it was only my own wishful thinking. When she was 5 months pregnant, Haley started testing me. "Honey, Tony heard I'm pregnant and wants to treat us to a meal to congratulate us. Do you want to go?" I patted her belly. No need. She wanted to say something more, but when I lifted my eyes to look at her, she closed her mouth and said nothing further. I pretended nothing had happened and continued talking to the baby through her belly, but she didn't give up. Not long after, she brought it up again. "Next week is Tony's birthday. He invited us to the party. Shall we go together?" "A birthday party? I'm not interested. Besides, there will be too many people. It's not suitable for you to go out now. I haven't gone out in so long since getting pregnant. I'm so bored at home." She shook my hand and pleaded coquettishly, "If you want to go out, I can take you, but there's no need to celebrate his birthday. He and I can never be friends." As Tony's birthday approached, she became increasingly anxious, but I never gave in. This was also my test for her, to see whether she would make the same mistake again. Soon, I had my answer. Once again, I became the fool. That morning, I left for work as usual. At noon, I received a message from Haley. "Honey, I've turned them down so many times, but they came straight to the house to invite me. If I refuse again, it will be rude. I'm just going to have a meal. I promise I'll behave and come home soon. I'll keep updating you." The picture she sent showed a group of people. I put away my phone without replying, only feeling a deep, bone-tired weariness. How many times was I supposed to forgive her? What was it about Tony that made her insist on doing this, even knowing it would make me angry? In the afternoon, Haley kept sending me pictures, saying she was reporting her whereabouts. I only felt annoyed. I muted her messages. When I came home that night, the house was pitch black, just like countless nights before. This scene replayed again. I couldn't help asking myself how much longer I would keep giving her chances. Why did I believe she would change? I was unbelievably foolish. As the night deepened, I sat numbly on the sofa, thinking back on everything. I didn't know how long I sat there before my phone suddenly rang, shattering the silence. "Are you Mrs. Haley's husband?" She was in a car accident. She's at City General Hospital. I rushed to the hospital immediately and learned that Haley was in the emergency room, bleeding heavily, and the baby couldn't be saved. I signed the consent forms and called her parents. When everything was done, my strength drained away, and I slid to the floor with weak legs. Not long after, Tony appeared, his head wrapped in bandages, limping as he walked over. His face was pale, and he looked guilty. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I didn't even have the desire to hit him again. What happened? After dinner, Haley said she wanted to go home, so I drove her. Some guy kept cutting me off, and I lost my temper and started racing him. Then we crashed. Haley was in the passenger seat, and she was hurt the worst. When Haley's parents arrived, they heard this. Her mother rushed forward, pounding his chest. Haley was pregnant. How could you be so reckless? I wiped my face. The baby didn't make it. She's in surgery now. Her mother screamed and collapsed wailing. My head throbbed unbearably, and all I wanted was to get away from this place, away from these people. But unfortunately, I couldn't leave yet. When Haley woke up, she looked at me, her face filled with grief. I stared at her for a long time, about to speak. She interrupted me. "Don't say it. Please don't say it." I shook my head and still said it. "When you're discharged, let's go file the divorce papers." She closed her eyes, gave a bitter smile, and murmured, "It's my fault. It's all my fault." I sat in the hospital room with her all afternoon, while she cried without stopping. "The baby is gone. I'm so sad. I know you're angry. You'll never forgive me. I just wanted to have a meal." I kept telling him to take me home early. I told him not to drive so fast. I was so scared, but he wouldn't listen. He knew I was pregnant. When we crashed, he turned the wheel toward my side. "I regret it so much. I shouldn't have ignored you. I really regret it." Unfortunately, she realized it too late, and the price she paid was too high. This time, no one tried to persuade me not to divorce. Everyone knew. She had ignored me over and over again for Tony, and now she had even lost our child because of it. No one dared speak of forgiveness. Haley's family completely fell out with the T family. Haley's mother went to Tony's house and cursed him for destroying her daughter's marriage and causing her miscarriage. She accused Tony of doing it on purpose, of having ulterior motives. At first, the T family was apologetic, but when pushed too too far. They started shouting back, saying it was Haley who had no self-respect, who had chased after Tony repeatedly, who couldn't settle down even while pregnant. Tony himself never showed his face again. Haley's mother was so furious. Her high blood pressure flared up, and she stayed bedridden for days. She repeated the story to Haley. Look what kind of people the T family are. That Tony, he ruined your life. I told you to stay away from him, but you wouldn't listen. Look at you now. Haley listened blankly, her nails digging deep into her palms. After I finished the divorce procedures with Haley, she moved out of the house. I put the house up for sale and planned to buy a new one. Work was booming, and without anything tying me down, I threw myself into my career and was soon promoted by my boss. Haley, ever since the accident, had been in a fragile mental state until one day, she suddenly called me. Rocky, I killed Tony. Now we can finally be together. Ha 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 ha. Her side was full of noise, screaming, sirens, alarms, chaos. Later I learned she had deliberately driven into Tony. After the divorce, she thought it over again and again, finally deciding that the reason things ended like this between us was all because of Tony. Every fight we had was because of him, and even though he knew I didn't want them to stay in contact, he kept inviting Haley. Haley believed he did it on purpose, wanting her to get divorced. Now that she really had, his family even claimed she had been seducing Tony while pregnant. During the time she was back home, she heard all kinds of gossip, neighbors pointing fingers behind her back, and Tony acted like nothing happened, suffering no consequences at all. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. One day, she waited until Tony went out, followed him in her car, and when he was crossing the street, she stepped on the gas and hit him. That was when she called me. Tony was badly hurt, his spine injured most of all, and he would never walk again. Haley was arrested on the spot and would face legal consequences. After I finished telling Serena everything, she sighed for a long time. Seeing me silent, she joked, "What is it? Do you still feel sorry for her?" I shook my head. By now, I felt nothing for Haley. If there had ever been hatred, it had all vanished when I heard what had become of her. Haley and I had known each other since we were young, had once been madly in love. When we married, we both thought we would walk hand in hand through a lifetime of happiness, never expecting that things would turn out like this, that our love would be exhausted so quickly, and she would end up spending her life in prison. I came back to my senses. Are you really resigning? Won't you reconsider? Serena had submitted her resignation letter. I've thought about it for a long time. I've worked so many years. I just want to give myself a break. Unlike her gentle appearance, her character had always been decisive. Back then, when I asked her to help me pretend to be with her despite Haley, she had agreed without hesitation. Now, her resignation was the same. Once she had decided, she never wavered. I raised my teacup to her. Then I wish you a pleasant vacation and all the best. She pretended to be annoyed. I thought you would at least try to make me stay. I froze. She smiled and raised her cup back to me. Just kidding. Then she turned gracefully and left. Sunlight streamed down, falling on her figure. So beautiful it was breathtaking. I watched her, my heart beating faster for no reason, but I didn't rush after her. Instead, I played with my cup. After all, the days ahead were long. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.